Right up here.
So did you take an Uber over?
Of course.
Let's get down to it, Travis.
What's that?
What's going on in New York?
We're doing really good work with our black car business in New York. We also have, actually last week, we rolled out Taxi, what we call Taxi, our taxi product. For the first time for the last 30 years in New York, if you wanted to get a taxi, the only way you could do it was to go to the street and put out your arm and hail it. They haven't allowed you to request taxis. And new technology obviously can find ways to do things within an existing rule set. And so the first time in 30 years in New York, you can request a taxi without going to the street.
Yeah, but are you legal? But is that legal?
We are legal. We are legal.
According to you or according to the Taxi and Limo Commission?
According to the law.
Okay, according to
the law.
But
that does not mean that the incumbent industry, nor the people that protect them, usually regulators, that does not mean that they like you.
So right now you're operating for free, right?
That's correct.
Uber Taxi's operating for free under $25.
That's correct.
What happens if it charges over $25?
If you do a trip that's over $25, the rest will be charged to your credit card.
Okay, but you technically can't accept credit card payments.
Says who?
Says the TLC.
That's right. That's correct.
Okay.
So what we did was in every city that we go to, eventually the regulators will find or try to find or make something up to keep us from rolling out or to keep us from continuing our business. Like in Boston, they said that having GPS in a car, they don't have standards for it. So because they don't have standards for it, we must cease and desist operations. The way it's supposed to work is that the Division of Standards in Boston or in Massachusetts is supposed to create a standard and then enforce it. If they don't have a standard for something, that doesn't make it illegal. But the regulatory body there was getting pressure from the incumbents, and they tried to shut us down. We said, there's no standard, you don't have anything to enforce, and in 27 hours after we made that statement, the governor of Massachusetts rescinded the cease and desist. And so in New York, just because they say you're not supposed to do credit card processing does not mean you're not supposed to. It means they don't want us to exist.
So what happens when Uber stops? What happens when Uber stops being free next week? Just brute force?
Well, look, I think in the coming days, we will find out what we're going to do next. The reason we rolled out with this free product at the beginning is because the day before we launched Taxi is when the TLC decided to tell us that we shouldn't. And we said, look, we're open to having a conversation with much love into the service that we deliver. And it delivers so much value that if a politician or a regulator tries to take it away because of incumbent industry pressure and lobbyists, they get enraged. And this is not a blue issue or a red state issue or anything like that. This is about people having a good quality of life and high quality services in the cities, in cities around the country and around the world.
But, okay, so do you think there's a better strategy than just we don't pay attention to your rules?
Well,
Are you not scared at all?
Hold on. No, I do pay attention to the rules.
Did you submit a request for a proposal to New York? So for those of you that don't know, New York is asking companies like Uber.
I feel like I want to pace up here. I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I have to do that. Go ahead. If I get up and pace, you just got to be cool with it.
You can pace, go, pace.
Okay, I will at some point.
Right now. Feel free to do whatever you want.
It may happen. Go ahead.
Oh, God. So are you submitting an RFP to New York's program?
I think you're, wait.
My question is there a better strategy than brute force?
Yeah.
Is there a better strategy than, well, fuck y'all, we're innovative, you're not?
Well, no, that's not what it is, right? You go in, you look at the rules, and then you roll out your business. If you put yourself in a position of having to ask for permission, even when the rules say you can move forward, they will never, ever let you make the city a better place. Because the regulators are there. I have like 3 principles. Like, I've been trying to understand regulators because what the WTF?
They have partnerships. They have existing partnerships. It's about money. What do you think it's about?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I have 3 principles that I've sort of honed it into. One is cronyism. They ultimately get a Stockholm syndrome with the folks that they regulate. They eventually feel like they're supposed to protect the people that they regulate. I had one regulator recently tell me that they view themselves as customer support for the folks that they regulate. Number 2 is control. If they don't have rules for something, they feel that it's illegal, even if it's not. You have to have rules that you can enforce. You can't just say, we don't have rules, and therefore you're illegal and you must cease. And number 3 is communication. They are incredibly sensitive to what's in the public view, what the optics are. They're more sensitive to the optics than the reality. But what social media has allowed us to do is give consumers and give citizens of cities a voice to make their city a better place, a voice to stop cronyism, and a voice to let the right thing happen and for innovation to roll out in the cities that we're in.
Have you ever thought about forming a coalition with people who are in the similar space, like Lyft or Sidecar or Halo, to just challenge these cities on their outdated practices?
I mean, that's an interesting question.
Right?
I mean, if like, let's say in London, I'd partner up with Halo for some London regulatory thing. But the issue is that, you know, because Halo's only in London. I guess they're also in Dublin.
They're coming to New York.
They've been coming to New York for 8 months.
Bregman just moved there.
Congratulations, welcome.
No, I mean,
right?
he's
But the
gonna
point
launch
is like, the point is you have to take it as on a city-by-city basis. There can be alliances in different cities to help innovation move out. I mean, I've spent time with Chesky at Airbnb. I mean, he has regulatory issues as well in different cities, and we've talked about, hey, are there ways we can partner, et cetera. It's important for technology companies, innovative companies, to sort of band together to have a voice, but also it's giving citizens and consumers the voice as well.
So you won in SF, you won in DC, you won in Boston. Is there any place you're not winning? New York? I mean, what's the value proposition of Uber in general in a city where you can just stick your hand out and get a cab?
I mean, when we went to New York, so many, you know, and even on the black car business, we have a huge black car business there. Everybody said, why are you coming to New York? Like, cabs, they're ubiquitous and they're cheap. They're everywhere. Why are you here? And I said, this girl that was telling me this, I looked under the chair and she had a Louis Vuitton bag. And I said, that's a Louis Vuitton bag. That's interesting. I said, why don't you have a paper bag? They're ubiquitous and they're cheap. And then she said, that's really clever, Travis. Ha ha ha.
You're funny,
and I said, wait a second, I know where you live. There's a deli right at the bottom where you live at your apartment complex. I said, why do you go to restaurants? And then she didn't laugh anymore.
All right, so speaking of ubiquitous and cheap, I've been seeing a lot of pink mustaches on your home turf. And for those of you that don't know,
that makes it exciting. We got something going on here.
This signifies Lyft.
All right, now it's time to pace.
And TechCrunch team used to take a lot of Ubers, and now we're taking a lot of Lyfts, myself included.
Very good.
I have a friend who used to spend $600 a month on Ubers, and now he spends $200, and that fits right underneath his transportation stipend for his company. Yep. So are you scared that these pink mustaches, for one reason or another, will eat Uber's lunch?
Look, competition is good, right? If somebody can offer value at a cheaper price, they should. But that also means that Uber should too, right? The low-cost Uber, my goal, my mission in the world, the low-cost Uber is going to be Uber. And that we have this thing called UberX. And it may not be getting all the buzz, but I'll tell you the numbers are probably at or above what Lyft is doing.
Okay, you always talk like OMG double rainbow, like OMG double rainbow numbers, or what did you say? We have a shit ton of users.
No. Somebody asked me how many rides are we doing in San Francisco or something like that, and I think my answer was a metric shit ton.
And then I said, well, how many do you plan on? It was me, and I was like, how many do you plan on doing? Like two metric shit tons.
I don't know.
Do you have any numbers that aren't made up?
How about this? We're doing hundreds of thousands. We have drivers, drivers and limo companies, essentially sedan companies, connected to our system. And we're doing hundreds of thousands of hours a week. We are paying...
In what city? Just in one
just
city?
Overall.
Okay.
We are paying drivers, or limo companies and their drivers, millions of dollars a week, right? Like, we are growing 26% month over month, and that means in the last 12 months, we are 16 times bigger than we were 12 months ago. And right now, the numbers are accelerating.
Are you
Is that good enough for you?
No, it's not. It's never good enough. How well is UberX and Uber Taxi doing in comparison to the black car service?
I mean, they're smaller, so they're growing faster.
Are you scared of transitioning over from like a low volume, high margin Uber fancy thing to a low margin, high volume, more plebeian option?
The point, right? Uber's motto from the beginning is everyone's private driver. And anybody who thought we weren't going to be doing all levels, like having choice at different levels of quality, bringing Uberness to every level, anybody who thought that was naive. That's been part of the mission since day one. So UberX is basically about the price of a taxi, maybe a little bit more, but it's in that neck of the woods. We got tons of cars out there. We have our partners are buying tons of cars. We may even start doing like, sidecar Lyft style like recruiting of drivers. Like, you just make it work. And there's nothing wrong with providing value to a customer at a lower price, because if you do that, you're going to win.
Do you have an M&A strategy?
Lots of folks come to me with acqui-hire situations. And they're like, yeah, it didn't quite work out. I'm going to piss some people off right now. Yeah, it didn't quite work out, and we'd love to be part of the Uber team. I'm like, we are hiring. And they're like, well, we kind of need our company to be bought for $20 million. I'm like, there's 4 of you. That means $5 million a pop. Why don't I just put up a job post for $1 million a year and see what comes?
What company is this?
There's a lot of them.
Names, specifics?
None.
None?
Not going to tell you.
Are they in your space?
No comment.
No comment. So you're not acqui-hiring. Are you just going to attack and destroy your competitors?
Well, no, I mean, competition is fun. Like, anybody here a sports fan, right? Anybody, like, go to baseball games or basketball games or football games? Like, that shit is fun. Let's go. Like, if there wasn't competition, like, what is the frickin' purpose? Let's have some fun. Then let's make the world a better place at the same time. But I'm bringing it. I'm not sleeping. If the other guy's sleeping, I'm going to kick his ass.
Okay, all right, you're aggressive. So last time you raised money, it was about 12 months ago.
Yes,
you raised 32.
11 months ago,
11
and it ended up being
months ago.
37 million total.
Oh wow, that's it. News, TechCrunch. 37 million, not 32. Who else went in?
Bunch of awesome people.
Tell me. So you had Bezos, you had Menlo.
The major guys were Bezos, Menlo Ventures, Shervin Pishavar. He's the guy who shaves an icon of Uber into the back of his skull. And Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. Anyone else?
There's like a ton of other people.
Who was that extra 7 million?
It's like a who's who.
Who's who?
It's the who of the who.
Who is who?
That's not happening right now.
I'll tell you. I'll ask you backstage.
All right.
But that's news, guys. When are you planning on raising a Series C? Should be now, right? Most successful companies with such grand, ambitious
it's
plans.
interesting, right? We're not running out of money. Like, our business is growing Where, the cities that have been around for a while, they are profitable and contributing to the business. We go and then expand in more. We're in 17 cities right now. We're talking about several dozen next year.
You're talking about Asia by the end of this year.
That's happening.
You said that in February. Where is it happening?
So we have Europe. We have some Asia stuff going on. We're going to do a big rollout in Europe. What was the question again?
What cities in Asia are you planning on rolling out in?
All the usual suspects.
Who, Beijing?
No, all the big ones,
Tokyo?
right? Like, what are the big cities? Tokyo. Like, if you go Asia Pac, you go Sydney, you go Melbourne, you go Singapore, you go Kuala Lumpur, you go, I mean, just get out your geography thing from 6th grade. You'll see all the major cities.
Hold on, I have an iPad. I could probably pull that up. What's your top 3 cities for Asia? What are your crown jewels in the Uber Asia?
I promise,
array?
Alexia, that I'll tell you before the end of the year is over.
Tokyo. I mean, you have 4 months, right?
Basically.
So why have you personally stopped angel investing? Is Uber too time consuming?
When I angel invest, so you hear a lot of investors say, like, so many investors, we're involved, we bring value, and 98.7% of them do not. And then they, of course, in the meantime, they're taking meetings with hundreds of companies because they're trying to boil the ocean and find the gem. And I did it differently. I did very few meetings, sort of curated from people that I really trusted. Very, very few meetings with new companies, but very likely that when I met with that company that I would invest. And then I just became their CXO, right? Like, I was either helping them get their first enterprise sale, or being their CTO for a couple months, or helping them do a fundraise, or you name it. It's because at the core of me, I'm an entrepreneur, that I need to be in the game, and that's why I got back in the game. And so when I'm in the game, I don't have 100 ideas a minute for other things. I am focused, and I don't have any interest in going to a roulette wheel and placing bets and not being involved. That's not interesting to me.
One last question. As an entrepreneur who's also been an investor, what advice do you have for the other entrepreneurs that are facing the sort of challenges that you're facing right now with Uber?
Oh, the challenges I'm facing?
The regulatory challenges, the challenges of outdated models of doing
I understand. You got to be a fighter, right? You have to stand for something. You have to grit your teeth, and you have to kind of be a warrior. And if you're not, you should go do something that's a little less disruptive.
Thank you. Thank you.